Hey there.
Banjo-Kazooie. This game has made quite the name for itself over the years. But why? Well, let's take a step back and see how it all came to be. Before Banjo-Kazooie, there was an adventure game being developed for the Super Nintendo that was codenamed Project Dream. It would have had graphics comparable to Donkey Kong Country, and it followed a guy named Edison and his dog Dinger as they traveled through a fantastical world and took down a gang of pirates. Development lasted for a few months, but Rare, the developers, decided to move the project to the N64. During the transition, several changes were made, like the focus on the pirate aspect and a character switch, as Edison grew out of favor with the team. They first designed a rabbit, but they tossed that idea out and landed on a bear who would keep stuff in his backpack, and he later became the Banjo we know today. At some point in development, the devs realized that Project Dream would require more resources than they had available, so they scrapped it and started anew, only keeping a few things like Banjo, as they grew fond of him. The game changed to a kind of 2.5D it was a really linear 3D platformer, that's better, and it was dubbed Kazoo. Speaking of Kazoos, Kazooie wasn't a character at this point in time. She stemmed from the idea of giving Banjo a double jump that could believably be done anywhere. It started with wings coming out of his backpack, then legs for traversal, and finally a whole character hiding inside of it. Following this, the game became Banjo-Kazoo, but Kazoo gave the team trademark troubles, so an IE was added to the end, and the rest is history.
Banjo-Kazoo. Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie Mom!
Rare then decided to model the game more after Mario 64, and with this in mind, after about 16 months of development, the game released in summer of 1998 in Europe and North America, and winter of 1998 in Japan. So we know how it came to be, but what is Banjo-Kazooie all about? It stars Banjo, along with his buddy Kazooie, on a quest to save his sister Tooty from the evil old witch Gruntilda, who kidnaps Tooty and plans on stealing her beauty for herself after being told by her magic cauldron that she isn't the prettiest in all the land. Banjo sleeps through Tooty's kidnapping, by the way. Such a good older brother. This is what I aspire to be. The plot's alright. It's nothing special, just a standard X saves Y from Z plot, but that's fine. For games like this, plot doesn't really matter to me. Instead, everything else does. Banjo-Kazooie is quite different from the other 3D platformers of the time. It isn't about getting from point A to point B, but instead exploring the worlds and collecting the contents inside. These types of games are known as 3D collectathons, and this game specifically is one that pioneered that genre. I mean, at this point in time, every 3D platformer tried to be like Mario 64, and while allowing plenty of freedom on how you reach the goal, that's just what it was all about when you got down to it, reaching a goal. But with Banjo-Kazooie, there is no goal at the end of a stage. There isn't really an end to begin with. Once you enter one, you're free to do whatever you please, which is refreshing. Seeing as this game is a collectathon, there are several items in each stage that you need to collect. Every level has 100 music notes, which unlock doors in the hub, 10 puzzle pieces, called Jiggies, which unlock new levels through puzzles in the hub, 5 Jinjos, which give you a Jiggy when they're all collected, and 2 Honeycombs, which give you an extra health point for every 6 you collect.
Obviously, you don't have to collect every single thing, but, I wouldn't chance it, and collecting all these MacGuffins isn't tedious. For the most part. And for Rusty Bucket Bay, but we'll get to that. The tedium comes in when you die, which, mind you, probably won't happen a lot because Banjo-Kazooie isn't that difficult, except for Rusty Bucket Bay, but that's neither here nor there. When you die, the Jiggies and Honeycombs you collected save, but only the amount of notes you've collected is saved, and the Jinjos just aren't saved at all. Having to recollect these things isn't terrible, but it definitely can get annoying, especially when you're hot garbage. Now, of course, this freedom won't matter if 1. Banjo doesn't control well, and 2. If the game isn't designed well, and thankfully both things show favorable results. Starting with controls, Banjo is smooth, quick, and responsive, and has moves that help you with traversal and combat, which is all fine and good, but who needs Banjo's kit when you have Kazooie's? Pretty much everything she has is better than what Banjo has. Her run, her attacks, her jumping capabilities, everything. And it's all courtesy of Bottles the Mole, one of many characters who help you out on your quest. Bottles really does teach you everything, by the way. When you start the game, you can't do anything except run and jump, which is admittedly pathetic at this point, but through skippable tutorials, you gain a kit that is not only useful, but seriously versatile. He teaches you things like flight, temporary invincibility, and egg shooting and egg ship. Sometimes you get tired of being the burden bearer, and for those people, Mumbo Jumbo can quench your difference thirst. By giving him Mumbo tokens that you find in the levels, he can transform you into different organisms like a bee, a pumpkin, or a cool croc. These really only let you either net a Jiggy in the stage, or let you access a secret area in the hub. These transformations are cool, but I definitely feel like there's some wasted potential. After you collect the one Jiggy that they're usually needed for, you're never really given any reason to use them again. I think there definitely could have been some platforming or puzzle challenges revolving around the different transformations, as they all have unique abilities, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to the design, the levels are all of decent size, and have many things like characters and obstacles that make them unique and just a blast to play through, and these unique things are usually how you acquire Jiggies. The characters alone are very memorable, even the ones you only really see once, and that's thanks to the way they talk and what they say. This game was originally going to have full voice acting, but due to time constraints, the devs opted to have everyone make odd noises, which I think I like more. They all sound like the adults in the Peanuts, and I can't get enough of it.
Something about this game that's very strong is the dialogue. It's genuinely funny, mainly the character interactions, or really who's interacting with Kazooie, because she is great.
There are some great examples, like all of the stuff Grunty says belittling you while you're in the hub, all of the witty things the NPCs say, and pretty much anything that comes out of Kazooie's mouth. She definitely steals the show. This game also has a lot of charm and personality, due to the dialogue, as well as things like the enemies and the fact that everything is constantly watching you. Yeah, forget the hills have eyes. Everything here has eyes. Honeycombs, beehives, buckets, rocks. Alright, I'm finally gonna talk about the hub world. The main hub is Gruntilda's lair, and you access all of the worlds through it. This means that everything is interconnected, and I love when games do this. The game even goes the extra mile by having the music smoothly change to reflect what part of the lair you're in. Speaking of music, it was composed by Grant Kirkhope, who did a fantastic job. He is one of my favorite video game composers of all time, actually. One of my favorite tracks is Click Clock Wood Spring. It is just such a bop. Going back to the hub, it even has its own goodies, like cheat codes that increase your ammo capacity, and Jiggies of its own, which you unlock through witch switches that you find in the levels. Finally, after going through all 9 worlds and contemplating life, you finally reach Gruntilda, who puts you through a board game quiz show that tests your knowledge of the game, so I hope you were paying attention. Once you make it to the end, Gruntilda's been bested, 2D is saved, and the game is over. Never mind. When you make it to the top of Grunty's lair, you face her head-on in a battle that will test all of your abilities, and I do mean all of them. Egg shooting, using the Wonder Wing, flying, everything. The fight starts to come to a close when Gruntilda puts up a force field, and you have to free some Jinjos from Jinjo statues to get her out of it. Once she's been knocked out of it, you have to free the Jinjo to end all Jinjos, the mighty Jinjonator. And can I say, this part specifically really bumps up the difficulty for a fairly standard boss. I died more often than I'd like to admit. Speaking of death, once you free the Jinjonator, he knocks Grunty off of her roof and she straight up dies. You cannot come back from something like this. Following her defeat, the gang decides to celebrate their victory, and Mumbo comes in to show Banjo-Kazooie the stop and swap. Ooh, okay, so Stop and Swap was a planned feature that would have added more content to Banjo-Tooie, the game's sequel. When N64 carts are taken out of the console holds on to some of that data for a brief period of time, and the plan was to utilize that to add content, which sounded cool, but the period of time that this could be accomplished in is about a second, making it physically impossible, so it had to be scrapped. Banjo-Kazooie is a stellar game full of wit, charm, and just good game design. Obviously, there are flaws, but they're pretty insignificant, and the pros far outweigh them.
I really enjoyed my time with Banjo-Kazooie. It is a solid game. It's got lots going for it. Fun levels, good controls, a soundtrack that is just a great sense of humor, really memorable characters, all wrapped up in a formula that I think this game dang near perfected. It's a must-own if you're looking for good platformers on the N64, or just good platformers in general, really. You know, this isn't my first time playing the game. No, I first played it through the Xbox Live Arcade,
and while I didn't finish it, I enjoyed what I played. After that, I kept telling myself that I'd finally sit down and finish the game, though I never did that. But after the duo was revealed for Smash, which, by the way, ooh, I was more eager than ever to replay the game. And I'm glad to say that it's even better than I remember. But yeah, I can't wait for fall, because I'm really excited to smash some animals.
Hey there. Okay, so this is gonna be very off the cuff because I've never done something like this before, but I was editing this video and I talked to my friends about what I make, and I can't not share what one of them made because it really only makes sense here. So Trezvon, you know who you are, I know who you are, I'm calling you out. Bro, you know what, I'm gonna get you back. You may not know when it's gonna happen, but it is gonna happen, okay? Forget the joke at the end of the video, this is what we're ending on.